Okay, well, I'll go ahead and call tonight's meeting to order. If able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pape,
Here.
Councilmember Shavetta,
Here.
Councilmember Hands,
Here.
Councilmember Caldwell,
Here.
Councilmember Leahy, Councilmember Ryder,
Here.
Councilmember Silvers,
Here.
Councilmember Yodrich.
Here.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. First item up is the public items. Members of the public are encouraged to use this time to make comments about matters that do not appear on the agenda. Comments about items on the regular agenda will be taken up as each item is considered. Please note that you have 5 minutes. You'll be limited to 5 minutes. We did have a blue sign-up sheet here that is currently blank. Is there anyone, it doesn't preclude you from coming forward now, but does anyone out there have anything they'd like to come and say to the council on public comments? Okay. I see nobody rushing to the podium, so we will close out that section of the meeting for public items. Next item up is the consent agenda. All items listed under this heading are considered to be routine by the City Council, may be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless council members so request, in which case that item be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Now, considering we only have one item on the consent agenda, is there anybody who'd like to talk about it before we ask for a motion? Okay, I see no one wanting to raise that. I would entertain a motion. Mr. Silvers?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that the council approve consent agenda item number 1.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Ms. Hands?
I'll second that.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second.
Councilmember Shavetta,
Aye.
Councilmember Hands,
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell,
Aye.
Councilmember Leahy,
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder,
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers,
Aye.
Councilmember Yodrich.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Okay, next item up is the mayor's report. And we have a couple of proclamations this evening that I'd like to read to the audience. The first one is National Co-Responder Week. Okay, so let me read this for us, and then I think we have a few people in the audience that might want to speak. Okay, whereas the Johnson County Mental Health Center's Co-Responder Program was established in 2011 to embed mental health clinicians with law enforcement agencies to respond together to individuals in crisis, providing the right intervention at the right time and connecting individuals to appropriate resources. And whereas Merriam started partnering with Johnson County's Co-Responder Program in 2017 to address the rising demand for mental health and substance abuse calls of service, and whereas mental health and substance use challenges can lead to homelessness, prison, and emergency room visits, which are costlier for communities than early interventions and connections to behavioral health services. And whereas today the co-responder program has 21 co-responder positions and 15 partnerships with local law enforcement agencies, and whereas Merriam has hired 2 co-responders in partnership with Northeast Johnson County cities to aid with mental health related calls and to let individuals know about programs across the metro area to help them with their needs. Now therefore, in recognition of their service to our community, I, Bob Pape, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of Merriam, Kansas, do hereby proclaim September 15th through the 21st, 2024 as National Co-Responder Week, proclaimed on this 9th day of September 2024. Now, I know we have 3 individuals, and I'm going to come down in a minute and give this proclamation to someone there, and hopefully we can get a photo op. But if you'd come forward and give your name and, well, I guess you don't have to give your address, but where you work.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jessica Murphy, and I am a Deputy Division Director in Emergency Services at Johnson County Mental Health Center. That is a long way to say that I oversee our mobile crisis team and co-responder programs throughout the county. I am joined by Jen Melby, co-responder team leader, and Krista Walker, the Northeast Evening co-responder. I am honored to accept this proclamation for National Co-Responder and Crisis Responder Week on behalf of Johnson County Mental Health Center and our valued partners at Merriam Police Department. This week, we not only recognize the critical work being done by co-responder teams across the nation, but we also celebrate the unique and powerful partnerships here in Merriam. Since the inception of the Northeast Co-Responder Program in 2017, we have seen firsthand the impact that collaboration between law enforcement and mental health professionals can have on our community. Thanks to the ongoing support and funding from this council and the dedication of our police department and mental health center, we have been able to build a program that responds to the needs of our most vulnerable residents with care, compassion, and expertise. When we started in 2017, the Co-Responder Program was still relatively new in Johnson County, an initiative driven by the belief that partnerships between police officers and mental health professionals could lead to better outcomes for individuals in crisis. And today I'm proud to share just how far we've come. The Johnson County program started in 2011 with one co-responder and has since grown to 21 positions covering the entire county. Merriam Police Department started with a partnership with 7 nearby jurisdictions to have a shared program. Since then, Merriam Police Department has been a leader in growing the program to 2 co-responders shared with 4 other jurisdictions. In our first year of the Northeast program, our co-responder only handled 2 calls for service in Merriam, and while that's not impressive, which is part of the reason while that, let me back up, I apologize. We know that's not impressive, which is part of what led to the split for the program. What is impressive is that last year, with the 2 co-responder positions, that number grew to over 230 responses. That's more than an 11,000% increase. This shows not only the growing trust in our program, but also the increasing recognition of the importance of specialized mental health support in crisis situations and the value of having more dedicated time from co-responders. Over the past 7 years, we have successfully diverted individuals in crisis from the criminal justice system to appropriate mental health services. This means fewer arrests, fewer hospitalizations, and more people getting the help that they need when they need it the most. With the addition of the second co-responder, we've also expanded our outreach efforts, finding new ways to help citizens. We follow up with nearly every citizen having police contact of a behavioral health concern. That's nearly 1,000 follow-ups since 2017 for the city of Merriam alone, and over 3,000 for the entire Northeast program. Having the privilege of working so closely with law enforcement, we have learned additional ways to support our community by expanding our follow-up efforts to include substance abuse, homelessness, loved ones who have lost someone to suicide, and those who have experienced a traumatic incident and domestic violence calls. Krista has taken on the majority of these follow-ups, doing 65 domestic violence follow-ups alone. These types of follow-up efforts have shown to be very impactful, not only to our citizens, but also to the officers we partner with, giving them another tool to provide citizens when they are on difficult calls. And before they cue the Oscar music for me to pull me from the podium, I'd like to read 2 quick citizen compliments. The first was an email sent to Chief McLaughlin. I just wanted to send a note about the officers and co-responder that were all at my house this week when my spouse was having some mental health issues that scared me. They were so respectful and helpful that I truly appreciated it so much. I'm so glad I knew that we had a mental health co-responder, and I'm glad that you keep advocating for us to approve that position in the budget each year. It's truly been impactful to me personally this week, and I'm so glad it exists. And this one is a personal favorite that I replay, and it's a voicemail that a resident left on one of the co-responders' phones. He said, I was just wanting to tell you thank you. Thank you for coming by yesterday. I know you probably help a lot of people, but you absolutely saved me yesterday. You got me out of my head. I was also wanting to say you saved a guy yesterday. Thank you so much. The co-responders and officers are the ones in the field that get to help these individuals every day, but it is because of your support and Chief McLaughlin's leadership that this program continues to thrive. These stories help me remember that this program doesn't just change lives, but it saves them. Thank you.
Thank you. And, yeah, let's do it. Wonderful. Please stay there, and please come up, and I'll bring this down.
Wherever you want us, there we go. Yeah. Hey, you want to hold it, or? Okay.
Please have it in order.
Sometimes the phone works better. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mayor.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for being our co-responders. We appreciate it. They are truly impacting lives of our citizens. Okay, the next proclamation I have is for Hispanic Heritage Week, and I'll read it at this time. Hispanic Heritage Week started in 1968 under President Lyndon Johnson and was expanded by President Ronald Reagan in 1988 to cover 30 days starting September 15th to observe Hispanic Heritage Month. And whereas Hispanic Heritage Month celebrates the histories, cultures, and contributions of those whose ancestors were indigenous to North America as well as Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. And whereas Hispanic Heritage Month recognizes the achievements and contributions of Hispanic Americans and creates awareness of the significant strides of Hispanics in the economic and social growth of the United States. And whereas Hispanic Heritage Month is tied to the celebration of the rich tapestry of our community, it reflects an array of distinct cultures. And whereas the City of Merriam is welcoming and inclusive community dedicated to improving the quality of life of those we serve. Now therefore I, Bob Pape, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as the Mayor of Merriam, Kansas, do hereby proclaim September 15th to October 15th, 2024 as Hispanic Heritage Month, proclaimed on the 9th day of September 2024. I don't think we have anyone in the audience that's getting that, but we will hang on to that for future reference. But anyway, let's give those people a round of applause for everything they contribute to our community. Okay, well, let's see, moving on. It looks like the next item up is continuing in the mayor's report. I always like to take a little time to talk about things that I and the rest of our council members have done during the previous 2 weeks. I attended the Johnson County Criminal Advisory Committee meeting. Annabeth Surbaugh, as you might remember, was instrumental in the formation of this committee and served on it until her recent passing. She will be missed but not forgotten. I and Councilmember Hands and Silvers and numerous city staff met at City Hall and took a chief's pick to show our support of the team. Team Merriam joins the team chief in moving forward. Councilmember Hands and I met with Mr. Engel to prepare tonight's agenda. Councilmember Silvers and Hands attended the Tim Murphy Art Gallery opening, on the original night of the opening. Councilmember Silvers attended the Merriam Drainage Board meeting, and Councilmember Silvers attended the Planning Commission meeting. He was very busy this last 2 weeks. I met with Ms. Guard, and we signed some papers showing county support. I made an appearance at the Old Olathe Settlers Day. Unfortunately, there was something wrong on my calendar. I wasn't there on the day that was getting recognition of the mayors. My bad. But I did go. And I did meet some Merriam residents that were down there as well, too, so I did get to talk to several people while I was there. I made an appearance, I attended the Overland Park Fire Department Retired Firefighter monthly breakfast, gave them an update of all the great things that are happening in Merriam. They always like to know what we're doing. And I attended the Johnson County Kiwanis meeting, monthly meeting, gave them an update. And I want to invite all in attendance to the upcoming Turkey Creek Car and Motorcycle Show this coming Saturday. Last year, we had over 300 entries, and the show's at 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., but cars start entering down there about 7:30 in the morning. See Miss Pinnock, do we still need volunteers, I assume? We need 2 more volunteers. I see at least 2 people out there. So if you haven't volunteered yet, please see her before you leave this evening. And then, I think it was the last 2 weeks, I didn't have it on my calendar. Didn't we have the blood drive during this last 2 weeks? And I have to report that the police department did win in the battle of the blood drive between the fire and the police. I mean, I think there might have been some hanging little red chips that didn't get put into the red thing. That's the reason it was so lopsided. But regardless, we appreciate the fact that and that was which Captain Weiler, he was, give him our thanks for putting that on, and anybody from the fire department that also assisted in that, please pass on our thanks, because if you haven't given blood, please go out and give it. It's one way that everybody in this room has a chance to save a life. So we do look forward to that as being an ongoing event. So I'll give my blood. I'm going to give 2 units next year, so we can get a little closer. So anyway, 3. I might get a little. Yeah, I'm there for the cookies. Okay, then I think the only other thing I have to announce is this: that we have a vacancy in Ward 4 for a council position itself. Mr. Neal has submitted his letter of resignation to me. Was effective immediately. And we have a process, as we've done numerous times in the past, of how to fill that vacancy for the remainder of his term. I'll turn that over to Mr. Engel just to kind of cover that information now.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, we do have a process for filling council vacancies. It's spelled out in Merriam City Code Section 2.27. We would use this to fill the vacancy. That particular term is set to expire in December 2025. So it would to fill the remainder of that term. In brief, essentially what we'll do is this is considered the notice of vacancy. We will, starting tomorrow, post the vacancy and solicit letters of intent and resumes from interested parties in Ward 4. We will leave that open for 30 days, so interested parties will have until 4:30 on October 9th. We will then, on October 28th, the council will hold an election in public session as part of the council agenda, as part of the council meeting, where we will use the process spelled out in Section 227 to narrow the number of interested applicants down to 1. That one chosen applicant will be immediately sworn in as our new Ward 4 council member. In the past, at least the last 3 times that we've done this, dating back to 2017, we've had 3 questions that we share with all of the applicants that are really the interview questions, in addition to their letter of interest that they submit in their resume, that the mayor traditionally has conducted the interview. Those questions are: what do you think is the most important issue facing the city in the next 2 years? What skills or talents would you bring to the city council? Do you have any closing comment for the city council to consider? Those are the 3 questions, again, that we have shared the last 3 times. You have a memo in front of you. There's a memo that's out on the desk that has all of this information in it also. And we will, again, include all of this on our website and our media channels to make sure that all interested Ward 4 residents that would like to throw their name in the hat for council member get the opportunity to. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions about the process. Or we've got the city attorney also, who is aware of the process.
Any questions for Mr. Engel or Mr. Dink? Okay, and I assume we're happy with the 3 questions we've always used in the past that moving forward? Okay, it looks like those are the submittals, I guess, that we'll put forward.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Oh,
before
yes.
we move on, I want to remind everyone that the Go Green Environmental Fair is this Saturday at the Powell Community Center from 8 to noon.
Thank you for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
Sorry, I missed that. Okay. Anything else? And I forgot to ask, on council items, did any other council members attend anything I missed? Oh, yeah, that's right. You were, we had another blood drive donor. Thank you, Ms. Ryder. Yeah, so that was good. All right. Okay, well, seeing nothing else, I think we're ready to move on to council items. The first item up on this is consider a resolution updating authorized officers for the City of Merriam's Municipal Investment Pool. Looks like we have Ms. Gard to the podium.
Good evening. We make our bond payments to the state of Kansas, and in between those bond payments, we invest in what's considered a public investment fund, the Municipal Investment Pool. It's run by the state of Kansas. As part of that, we have to have authorized users on that account, and so we're requesting to update those users tonight with the resolution in your packet. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Gard? Okay, I see no questions. I would entertain a motion for that from Ms. Hands.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the council approve a resolution naming Assistant City Administrator Caitlin Gard and Accountant Michael Larkin as the authorized officers of the City of Merriam's Municipal Investment Pool.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Go ahead, Ms. Shiders.
Mr. Mayor, I second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Hands.
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Leahy?
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder?
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers?
Aye.
Councilmember Yodrich?
Aye.
Councilmember Shavetta?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item up is approve a change order with Central Industrial Sheet Metal Works for rework of exterior sunshade. Looks like.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. In April 2022, Council approved a contract with Paratrade Innovations for Phase 1 exterior City Hall improvements. This included installation of the sunshade on the exterior of City Hall. After it was installed, staff observed that it was not completed to city standards, and the bolts for the sunshade were not drilled all the way into the wall. And so we obtained a bid from Central Industrial Sheet Metal Works, which was approved by council in February 2024 in the amount of $50,820 to rework the sunshade, assuming minimal fabrication of parts to connect the sunshade to the exterior. After removing the sunshade and bricks, it was determined that it was not installed per plans, and an engineer was retained to redo the design. A new bracket was designed and fabricated, and load testing was performed to make sure the brackets would adequately support the sunshade. The sunshade is now secured to the brick and the mortar behind it, and the project is completed. However, due to this additional work, a change order in the amount of $21,070 was incurred. This includes additional costs for engineering, masonry, equipment rental, materials, and additional labor as detailed in your packet. We've inspected the work, and we believe it's been satisfactorily completed. We do have a performance and maintenance bond, which will cover a year just in case anything comes up throughout that year, but we believe it's been adequately installed. If the item is approved, the total cost for this project will exceed the budget by $29,931 and will require CIP contingency funds to complete. This includes this change order plus the $8,861, which was previously approved by council. Assuming the change order is approved, the city attorney is now ready to negotiate and, if necessary, litigate the pending city claim with Paratrade to resolve this issue. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Director Gumke? Okay, I see no questions. It looks nice. Yeah.
It does.
And I assume we have no water coming in anymore,
Right.
so
Correct.
hopefully we're done.
Should be good. It looks
Should be
good. They did a great job, and we're happy that it's over and finally complete.
Okay, good. Well, I would entertain a motion for this. Somebody want Ms. Hands?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that the council approve a change order with Central Industrial Sheet Metal Works Incorporated for rework of the exterior sunshade at City Hall in the amount of $21,070.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Go ahead. Let me give Mr. Silvers. You guys were almost a tie there on raising hands.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to second that.
Okay. We have a motion second, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Caldwell?
Aye.
Councilmember Leahy?
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder?
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers?
Aye.
Councilmember Yodrich?
Aye.
Councilmember Shavetta?
Aye.
Councilmember Hands?
Aye, and I'm delighted to see it come to a close.
Yes.
Yeah, can we climb on that thing? Because it kind of looks like a wall climbing.
You could try, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay. Should not do that. Don't do that. Okay, it looks like next item up, I think you're going to handle, Director Gumke.
Yes.
Approval of an agreement with Johnson County. Okay.
So
Let's take it away.
Johnson County Stormwater Management Program provides funding for repair and replacement of deteriorated stormwater pipe and inlets as part of their system management program, and assets that have been assigned an observed risk of 3.2 or higher are eligible for reimbursement, with 5 being failed and 1 being new. In 2022, staff submitted an application to Johnson County for funding for replacement of stormwater infrastructure for the 50th and England Drainage Project, and that's what this agreement is for, that project, even though it has a different name. The total estimated cost for eligible assets is $234,526, and Johnson County will reimburse the city 50% of that cost. Construction for this project is currently underway, and staff will submit payment requests to Johnson County following approval of this agreement.
Any questions, Director Gumke? I see no questions. Okay, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Sands, go ahead.
I move that the council approve an agreement with Johnson County for funding for the 2023 Merriam Pipe Repair Stormwater System Renewal Project.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Go ahead, Ms. Shanders.
Mr. Mayor, I second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we have a motion, a second.
Councilmember Leahy.
Aye.
Councilmember Ryder.
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodrich.
Aye.
Councilmember Shavetta.
Aye.
Councilmember Hands.
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item up is consider approval of a professional services agreement. I see you have not left the podium, so I'll turn it over to you, Director. Thank you.
So as you know, the Shawnee Mission Parkway corridor and interchange is a very integral part of our city. Merriam residents use it most every day, and a lot of visitors drive through the corridor to go to the plaza in Western Shawnee, so it's really important to us. This preliminary engineering study would take a look at a preferred alternate for the interchange and looking at the corridor as well. Some of the issues that you already know about is that there's no pedestrian access across I-35, which is a council goal. When you get off of I-35 on the northbound off-ramp and go eastbound on Shawnee Mission Parkway, there's a merging issue there. Safety, the crash rate is higher than the state average. And then we want to look at capacity too as we develop and, as other adjacent cities develop as well. So that would be the main function of this project, would be looking at a preferred alternative for this interchange. But we also want to look at the corridor while we're here. We want to look at access management, safety. There's a lot of barriers on the west side with the floodplain and the frontage roads, but taking a look, is there any high-level concepts that we can look at as we improve this corridor over time, as well as Antioch, are there any right turn lanes we should put in? Should we extend the 3 lanes farther east? So there's a lot of things that we'd be looking at as part of this preliminary engineering study. As part of an interchange, we're required to go the closest interchange to the north and to the south and collect traffic data. So that's why Johnson Drive and 67th are part of this evaluation. We'll be looking at high-level concepts for Johnson Drive, but we have a lot of barriers with the railroad and close proximity to turn lanes and the interchange. But 67th, we've been talking about wondering if a roundabout would work on the east side of the interchange with the off-ramp and the frontage road. So while they're looking at traffic data there, we asked them to go ahead and look at, that concept and a high-level cost estimate if that would work. So maybe in the future, a future CIP, we could look at those improvements. This study will be funded $300,000 by TIF funds and $300,000 by our capital improvement funds. And the idea is that if we invest our own money, there's a lot of federal funding out there. We're hoping that if we have a preferred solution, then we can apply for federal funds and take advantage of that. And as we know, this interchange is KDOT's right now, so we'd like to work together with them, and hopefully there's some federal funding that we can work together on. They have a lot of other needs, so hopefully if we show that we're interested in investing our money, they're willing to come to the table and set ourselves up for success. We are recommending that H&TB Corporation be the designer for this project. They have a lot of experience. They recently, I know that they worked on numerous interchanges, but they recently completed 119th and I-35, 151st and Lone Elm and I-35, and they're working on Shawnee Mission, or Santa Fe and I-35 right now, so they know how to work with KDOT and what to do to move these projects forward. So we're really looking forward to working with them. Public engagement will be part of the project. We'll have an open house, city council work sessions, and we're recommending a committee composed of some council members and residents. We'll also have KDOT and our neighboring cities. We'll ask them to attend as well. And I know that the city administrator is working with the mayor right now, identifying some of the members of that committee, so we can get started on that. The study is $598,078, and if approved tonight, it would be completed in October 2025. So it's a big process, a big project, but we're real excited to get going.
Any questions for Director Kumpke?
I don't
What do you
really
think?
have a question, but I found the map very helpful to understand why and where we're going. So anytime you have opportunity to use that, I to communicate with us or the public, I would really recommend using that.
Thank you for the input.
Go ahead, Ms. Scolo.
I support this, so don't take my comments negatively, but what's prompting us to do this?
Well, I've been talking to the city administrator about capital improvements, and one of the goals is pedestrian access. So we started, talking about this interchange, and with all the development going on along Shawnee Mission Parkway, we thought it would be a good opportunity to go ahead and, like I said, look at a solution, and then, we probably won't do any improvements to the interchange unless we get federal funding, so setting ourselves up for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Director Gumke on this? Okay, go ahead, Ms. Shatters.
This is just a comment, and you probably already know this, but when Jacob and I went to NLC in DC, they have open hours with all the federal agencies, and they will essentially give you a direct pathway to all of the free money that they have when you sit down and talk with them. So I'm not sure if they'll have the same kind of open hours in November in Tampa when we go, but when we discussed things with them, they were like, here's all of our free money available. And
Nice.
they did the same kind of thing. And Department of Transportation was there, like everybody was there. So that could be a way to
Yeah.
get information out there in March, since you're looking at a 2025 timeline, but I
That'd be
don't know if that
great.
fits with the timeline or not.
No, we're always looking. What's nice about this is a lot of times you can't apply for funding until you have a solution. So
Right.
this will give us enough information to apply, but that's great.
Cool.
The more we can do, the better.
Yep.
Okay. If I see no other questions.
You have a public comment, but I also have another comment while he's coming up, maybe.
Okay, all right.
I,
No, okay. One comment, sure.
I'm very excited that 67th Street is included in this.
Yeah.
I've thought I was going to die there several times. So.
I drive it every day to work, and
No,
so
you
it's like,
do.
ooh.
I mean, I think even the corridor here at Johnson Drive too. Like, I mean,
See,
I drive it every day.
you're making
yeah.
a lot of people feel better. There you go.
Okay, any other questions before we?
I just want to mention that Stacy was also at NLC, and I didn't mean to leave her out.
There you go. Thank you guys for attending that, so representing us. Go ahead, sir. Come. Yes, please come forward to the podium, give your name.
You need to
Please come forward
Come
and
to
give
the
your
podium.
name and address for our record.
Well, it needs to be on the recording.
Yeah, we have procedure.
I worked for KDOT for 14 years. I worked for the city of Shawnee for 20 years. I live across the street from Miss Ryder. KDOT will give you pretty much anything they got. Problem is, this 69 project is killing them. I worked at the shop at 167th Street and 69 Highway. It's gonna be gone. KDOT doesn't have the money. That's why it's a toll. They're making a toll road out of it. 3 years to get it built. The problem with 67th Street, like you say, you've got the frontage road and you got the car dealerships. All the wrecks come, when they come off the ramp, there's not enough room to get everybody on. Johnson Drive, you've all been here longer than I have. The biggest problem at Johnson Drive is train tracks. And the railroad's not gonna let you mess with them. You guys know that. And this, like I said, transportation, they're hurting for everything. And like I said, I've been through it. I was their specialist for 14 years. And the guys can't even get raises because all the money's gone. And that's the biggest problem. And like I said, this lady was right. You can get money from the feds. You can get a lot of it. And that's what KDOT had to do. They wanted KDOT to fund the 69 project. KDOT says, we ain't got the money. You want to do it? Fine. You go right ahead, Overland Park, which they did. But they're making a toll road. And it's going to be beautiful when they get it all done. But it's going to take a long time to get it done. And I just wanted to let you know, I've seen it from both sides. I plowed, and for 14 years, I drove up and down 435. I've seen it all grow. When I first started with KDOT, there was a grass median on 69. It's all changed. And like I said, it's very, very expensive. So you want to watch your budgets, and like I said, hit the feds hard, because there's a lot of money out there. But it's going to take a lot to get done what you guys need to do. You've got car dealerships on both sides of the road. You've got no room to put a whole lot because of the railroad tracks. That's where it hurts the city. And like I said, the biggest concern with me as a citizen, I grew up in Shawnee, a block, about 3 blocks from where I live now, was the railroad tracks. Because it delays fire response, everything else. And if me as a citizen of Merriam, if I had the money, I'd give you the money to put a bridge over the top of the railroad tracks. Okay? I'm just an old guy that's working that gun. I've heard this stuff before. I've heard through my supervisors, to the director from KDOT and Olathe. They just ain't got no money to help nobody right now. And it gets worse. That's the problem. So I just wanted to say that. I hope we can get it done. Because like I said, 67th Street, it's getting onto the ramp. And let me tell you this, when you're going northbound, and you get off on 67th Street, don't do it in a dump truck full of salt, because you don't have enough room. I've slid through that intersection 100 times. That's where I had to turn around and go clear back to the south end of 69. So there's just not enough room. So a lot of things are gonna have to be done to get all of that, give you the room you guys are gonna need. Because they've already gone to 6. They'll go to 8 lanes eventually. You know, give them another 10 years, you're gonna have 8, 10 lanes, just like they do in California and Texas. So that's all I wanted to say.
Well, we appreciate your insight. Could you give Ms. Pinnock your address and your name, sir, for the record?
5906 Perry Avenue. And I want to talk to that young man before it's over with, about one of your officers.
And your name, sir?
My name's Rick Stripling, Stripling.
Thank you, Mr. Stripling. And we appreciate your insight.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Oh, I volunteered to help.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Well, we'll take that into consideration as we're putting that committee together. Thank you, sir. So like you, good resource. Okay. All right, well, let's see.
I can't hold the next meeting. Amy knows what I'm talking about.
Okay, well, if there are no other questions, I would entertain a motion for that. Ms. Aldridge?
I'll go. Mr. Mayor, I move that the council approve the professional services agreement with HNTB Corporation to provide preliminary engineering services for the Shawnee Mission Parkway and I-35 interchange in the amount of $598,078.
Okay, I have a motion. Go ahead, Ms. Shveta.
Mr. Mayor, I'll second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we have a motion, a second.
Councilmember Ryder.
Aye.
Councilmember Silvers.
Aye.
Councilmember Yodridge.
Aye.
Councilmember Shavetta.
Aye.
Councilmember Hands.
Aye.
Councilmember Caldwell.
Aye.
Councilmember Leahy.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Looks like our next item up is staff informational items on a September CIP update. We have Director Kumke at the podium.
Well, since you've already heard me talk a lot tonight, I won't give any presentations on this. The information's in your packet, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have on the CIP.
Any questions for Director Kumke on the CIP? Go ahead, Ms. Hands.
It feels like the 75th Street Bridge, we kind of get the same report every time. I know it's Overland Park, but do you feel like there's movement happening?
So they actually submitted, they sent out qualifications. They had 2 contractors, and they just sent us their qualification statement last week, and we have till Friday to give them comments. So at that time, they should be selecting somebody, so we're moving forward slowly.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Aldridge.
I have a question. How is the, what's the word I'm looking for? On Knox and Hawker, all of the sediment that went into the backyards on the east side, has that all been cleared, and is everything?
So there were 2 residents that immediately contacted us, and we've cleared their area out, and they seem to be real pleased about that. We have 1 more resident. He's on the dead end, and he notified us later. I sent him an access agreement, and he's called for questions, but he hasn't signed it. So I will get in there as soon as I get that.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. Looks like you're dismissed.
it.
This time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, informational items is Park and Recreation Advisory Board minutes. We're in our packet, unless we have any questions for Mr. Smothers. Is there? Do I see nobody? I don't think you're going to have to come forward yet. Update on Anna, Ms. Slocum, or Director Slocum? Back on Wednesday. Okay. All right, well, don't let her overdo down there. Keep her under control. Okay. Well, I don't think we have an executive session this evening, so what, do you have anything, Mr. Engel?
I don't. I just echo your invitation for everyone to attend the Turkey Creek Car Show on Saturday. Should be a fantastic day. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions council has.
Any questions for Mr. Engel? No questions for Mr. Engel? Okay. Well, before we call for adjournment, I will just like to say that I apologize for missing last meeting. Thank you, Ms. Hands, for filling in for me, and for Ms. Aldrich for taking over council president roles. I was not on vacation, I was working, so just for the record, but kind of, I really was. But anyway, I would entertain a motion to adjourn this evening from somebody.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Hands.
I move we adjourn.
Okay, we have a second. Ms. Aldrich.
Mr. Mayor, second.
Madam Clerk.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.